Welcome back to Fighting Words. I'm Chris Maxwell, joined as always by senior combat writer Andreas Hale and senior combat editor Tom Gray. Devin Haney makes his return to the ring this weekend, but not as a lightweight, as a super lightweight, where he will make his first fight in that division for a title, the WBC super lightweight title against Regis Prograis, who is the current title holder, yet for some reason, Devin Haney is on the A side. That's right. It is Haney versus Prograis. So going into this fight, this is a highly anticipated fight, something that fans have wanted to see for a while, especially with Devin Haney moving up in weight class. So Andreas, going to ask you first, what is your prediction for this fight? Who do you think is going to win? And we'll just start off with that.
Oh my God, this is a tough fight to pick. Devin Haney is taking a huge risk going up to fight Regis Prograis, and I applaud Haney for taking this risk. And I think he's going to find a way to pull this one out. I don't want to use Regis Prograis' last fight as a barometer. And I know a lot of people were not impressed with his last performance. Regis Prograis is really, really good. He fell just short against Josh Taylor. He's got heavy hands. He's got a surprisingly good jab and great defense. A lot of people don't give him credit for that. But I think Haney just continues to get better. He was killing himself to make 135. He's got really solid defense, a fantastic jab, and he throws great combinations to the body and head. I think this will be a slow start for Prograis, where it'll be a nip-and-tuck battle. I think Haney will win a decision that people are going to call controversial once again, but Haney will get another world title in another weight class.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same opinion, although I think I'm a huge Regis Prograis fan. I was actually in London when he fought Josh Taylor, and Josh was at his very best that night and barely won the fight. The thing is, what Regis Prograis likes, as far as I can see, is someone coming at him, which Josh Taylor did do that night. And if you look at the standout performance of Prograis' career, you could say Jose Cepeda, maybe Kirill Relik. These guys go on the attack, whereas to me, Devin Haney is one of the best in the world at neutralising an aggressive fighter, which is what Regis Prograis is. And I don't think he can change that. I think he's going to come after Haney, and Haney's going to box off him. That last fight against Danielito Zarila that Prograis had was a really poor performance from him. And what that guy was doing was essentially neutralising Prograis' offence. He didn't have much to give him back, but he made him look very pedestrian. And if Zarila can do that, then it makes you wonder what Haney can do. And the one thing that Andreas didn't mention is the age. You know, Prograis is coming up in 35 years old in January, and Haney is 25 now, I think, 25, 26. That's a big difference. And I think you're going to get the best out of Haney at 140 pounds. And I think he's going to win this fight maybe a bit more decisively than some people think.
Well, and that's kind of why I started off asking about your predictions. Normally, we would save that for last. But with Devin Haney entering the super lightweight division, he clearly dominated in the lightweight. He did recently vacate all of his titles because I don't think any of us think that he could ever go back to 135. I mean, who among us can? So now that he is fighting in the super lightweight, it is also a dominant division. You do have a lot of talent there. But also what I mentioned, he's the A side, even though he is not the current title holder. And his last win against Lomachenko, it was a narrow win. That was very controversial. So even though you say this one has potential to be a little bit more decisive, do you think with him entering this new division, honestly, with a clean slate, with no titles to his name at this point, does he get the credit he deserves, or does Devin Haney get too much credit?
What a question. I think it depends how you look at it. I mean, he's A-side because he's the former undisputed lightweight champion of the world. You throw that undisputed word in, he looks the more decorated fighter. Even though the Lomachenko fight was close, I thought Lomachenko actually won that fight. Between the two of them, it's the standout win. Prograis hasn't got a win to match that. So, you know, he's getting credit being the A-side over a world champion, which I don't really agree with. I think it's a rather shambolic marketing tool. I think the fight would do just as well if it was Prograis versus Haney, let's face it. I think Devin Haney is a terrific fighter. Sometimes he goes off because he's not on pound for pound lists or as high up on pound for pound lists as he wants to be. I think he needs to be a bit more patient. His biggest nights still lie ahead of him. I think he gets sufficient credit.
I don't think he gets enough credit. I think a lot of people are very critical of Devin Haney's performances. He got buzzed against Linares. A lot of people think he lost to Lomachenko. They didn't give him credit for beating George Kambosos, who he went to another man's country in his backyard and beat him twice. And as you mentioned, he's a kid. 25 years old. He's a young man, but he's 25 years old. In boxing, that is extraordinarily young. And now he's moving up. He's not going to fight Rolly Romero. He's going to fight Regis Prograis. I don't think Devin Haney gets enough credit from his boxing peers and the writers as he should for taking these chances. A lot of people will say, well, George Kambosos wasn't that good. George Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez. Devin Haney's one of the few fighters who routinely calls out everybody and tries to get these fights made. Say what you want about Shakur Stevenson, but when it came to Kambosos, Teofimo Lopez, he's been in Ryan Garcia's face. Now he's moving up to fight Regis Prograis. Gervonta Davis fought Ryan Garcia. It's the biggest name on his resume. Isaac Cruz was a nobody to anybody until Gervonta fought him. Ryan Garcia, which I'm sure we're going to talk about his previous performance, he has nothing remotely close to what Devin Haney's accomplished. Teofimo Lopez is fantastic. He beat Vasily Lomachenko, but he lost to George Kambosos. When we look at these young fighters, I think Devin gets a lot of criticism they doesn't really deserve because young fighters his age don't take these kind of chances. We love Gervonta Davis, but he has not taken anything remotely close to this kind of chance. So I will say it, Haney does not get enough credit for what he has accomplished, but he's also constantly playing with fire. And the issue is sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you and you may get burnt, and then nobody's going to forgive you for taking those chances. Once you lose, it is over for a lot of people. But Haney's doing what he wants to do to be one of the best in the world, fighting whoever they put in front of him and continuing to find ways to win. I think sometimes we need to lay off the criticism.
On the eye test, Andreas, I'm just interested. Who do you think would win a fight between George Kambosos and Ryan Garcia?
Ryan Garcia. I think Ryan Garcia would win. But I think it's a lot tougher than expected because Ryan makes his own fights tough. I think Devin dominated that fight. Dominated him and made it look even easier the second time around. Again, George Kambosos is not a world beater, but he beat Teofimo Lopez. And boxing math kind of applies here because if it wasn't for George, Devin may have been fighting Teo or somebody else. But again, I just think the man went to Australia to do this. We have to give him credit for that. I don't think Tank would have ever done something like that.
I do give him credit for that one, but I'm also of the feeling that Devin Haney would have beaten George Kambosos in his own living room, never mind just in Australia.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk more about Ryan Garcia. He also made his debut at the super lightweight division this past weekend with an 8th round knockout of Oscar Duarte. Now, he's back. That's what Oscar De La Hoya said. That's what Bernard Hopkins said. But then there were also some critics. Shakur Stevenson said that Derek James really hasn't changed him and Ryan's uncoachable and he didn't look that great. The typical things we would expect from these top fighters who all want to fight each other. Now, Ryan Garcia at the post-fight press conference, he did call out Rolly Romero. He wants him next. A lot of media were suggesting Teofimo Lopez, which is another name that's been thrown around. But given that he came back and he got his first win in this division, do you think that Ryan Garcia should fight the winner of the Haney-Prograis fight?
It's a tall order for him. I mean, I've been a Ryan Garcia advocate for several years now. Love the hand speed. Love the one-punch knockout power off the left hook. He brings a lot to the table. I really, really like him as a fighter, but I was not impressed with him on Saturday at all. I called it a pseudo shoulder roll where he was all but turning his back on Duarte. I think the referee should have admonished Ryan Garcia for that. I thought it was an awful tactic. He looked uncomfortable at times. He was using the ring, but I think he was too mobile. And even though he walked Duarte onto a terrific left hook, followed up and took him out, and the 8th round knockout is what will be on his resume, I didn't think it was a good performance from him whatsoever. When you consider the golfing class between Duarte and Haney or Duarte and Prograis, it's not a fight that I would be putting Ryan Garcia. And I think if Ryan Garcia is the type of guy that if he's done against Romero, who I think he would smash to pieces, incidentally, then that might do wonders for his confidence and he might start improving in the gym. And he does need to listen to guys, not just like Derek James, but he had Joe Goosen in his corner. If you're not listening to Joe Goosen, you've got a serious problem. And that appears to be something that he cannot shake. In a word, no when it comes to the Haney versus Prograis winner. I think those guys are a level above right now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm going to agree with Tom. I think the Rolly Romero fight is perfect for Ryan Garcia if he wants to capture a world title. Ryan's performance showed me a lot of things. One is he doesn't like to get hit, and he has defensive flaws that have not been corrected. And there are a lot of guys who don't like to get hit, and Ryan could be called a front runner to some. I will give him credit for this. He did listen to Derek James when Derek said, move, start to move, because Duarte can't throw when he's moving. Move your feet. And Ryan listened. Ryan has been a bad listener historically. He kind of does what he wants, except like he got exposed in the Tank fight. He just kind of did what he wanted. This fight, he settled down, moved his feet, and by listening, he ended up getting the 8th round knockout. That being said, Ryan's maturity as a boxer is not quite there yet. He's not on Haney's level in terms of maturity, game plan, execution. He's still looking for the knockout. He's still like thinking a little bit too much, and he doesn't like to get hit, and you're going to get hit in boxing. He's not that defensively efficient. So the Rolly Romero's fight's perfect because I think it's just fireworks. Romero might even knock down Ryan because as reckless as Rolly is, he could catch Ryan because Ryan keeps his chin really high. He doesn't bring his left hand back on time. There are things that he does wrong. Ryan is a guy who should play with fire. Ryan is a guy who learned his lesson from Tank Davis and should bring him along a lot more slowly against not elite opposition, not against all world title fighters, but against good competition like Duarte so we can fix those technical flaws. But to Tom's point, absolutely not. I think you fight Teofimo Lopez, you fight Regis Prograis, you fight Devin Haney, Ryan's going to get put to sleep. It's not; those are not good options for him. Not right now. Mentally, he's not mature enough yet.
I mean, Ryan even said at the post-fight presser that Oscar Duarte hits harder than Tank. He was more, I don't know if he used the word scared, but he was more scared to get hit from Oscar than he was Tank, and he knew that that could put him out. So to your point, going against these real heavy hitters in the division probably isn't the best move. But with that being said, Ryan Garcia, he is young. So when you're looking at, we usually talk 25 under 25, but these guys are aging out a little bit. So when we look at the best fighters under 30, where does Haney and Ryan Garcia rank? And who would you say are, the top 3, top 5 best fighters under 30 right now?
Well, Haney is definitely still at number 1, right? I don't think there's anyone above him that's that fits into that age bracket on the pound for pound list. Who else is there? You've still got Jared Anderson, right? So he's still there or thereabouts. I don't know. I'm not up to speed on a lot of these fighters' ages, unfortunately. I know Inoue turned 30, so that takes him out of the equation. Taraji's over 30. Yeah, I think everyone's getting too old now to fit into this under 30 bracket. What age is Tank? Tank's still under 30, right?
Yes.
He is.
Yeah, Tank's under 30. So Tank's there or thereabouts as well. So there's still some terrific fighters, and there's some top quality fighters coming up as well that are prospects that we'll be hearing from as well.
I love Devin Haney as like number 2 or number 3. And the reason why this has nothing to do with pound for pound right now. This has to just do with fighters that are under 30 that I think are destined to be world champions of greats. David Benavidez is the best fighter under 30, in my humble opinion. He's 26, and everybody keeps forgetting that. He's 1 year older than Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, and he's the same age as Shakur Stevenson. Like, that is the best fighter under 30. But Devin would be number 2 as of right now. Depending how this fight with Prograis turns out, he could hold on to that spot. Shakur didn't have a great performance. Whatever the rationale is, I think he slipped a little bit just because of like, what have you done for me lately? Teofimo, although he got that tremendous win against Josh Taylor, I need to see him in action again. And Tank passes the eye test. I just need him to fight somebody, anybody. Ryan doesn't count. I need him to fight somebody worth their salt that has proven themselves before I could say he's the best one. But he passes the eye test. But if you're asking me right now who the best fighter under 30 is, it's David Benavidez.
Boots Ennis deserves a mention as well. Boots Ennis is under 30. So he's a terrific fight. He's just, because he's picked up a belt via email, he's not on the tip of everyone's tongue at the moment, but as a talent, he's absolutely terrific.
Well, Devin Haney, he might have that secured number 2 or number 3 spot, or number 1, depending on who you're talking to. But again, he will make his super lightweight debut this Saturday, December 9th in San Francisco against Regis Prograis for the WBC super lightweight title on DAZN pay-per-view. So tune in to that and we'll see how many belts Devin Haney can collect in this division. I'm sure if he does win, this will not be his first. Until then, I'm Carissa Maxwell for Andreas, Hale, and Tom Gray. We will see you back here next week on Fighting Words.